including our daily sports show, Boston Has Entered the Chat. You can listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. What is up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Respect Her Game. I'm Laura Stickells. Annabelle Hasselbeck is back in studio with me, and this is our last episode that we're sitting down and recording that will be coming out in 2024. I cannot believe that we're almost at the end of this year, but Annabelle, it's been so much fun, and I'm so glad that I've gotten to spend so much of it with you.
It's been so fun. It is crazy that I think we started this over the summer, and it's already almost 2025, which is absolutely wild. It's like, you know, you think about the recruiting years and you hear, oh, they're a 2036, they're a 20, like, oh my gosh, it's already 2025. So it is exciting, but this has been such a fun show.
Yeah, no, it has been great. I love that you said that, though, about the recruiting years. I feel like every single time I hear about a new recruiting class, I'm like, what? Like 2029, 2030, it's like shakes me to my core. But we do have a really fun episode planned for you guys for our last one that we are doing in this year. We're going to talk some NCAA volleyball to start things off because those semifinals are happening the day that this comes out on Thursday. And also we did a pretty bad job of like picking our teams to win the tournament. So we're going to do a little
our predictions
redo.
Weren't great.
Yeah, now that we're down to 4, we're going to do a little redo. We're also going to talk some NCAA basketball. Asia Wilson's new shoe deal, which is incredible. I see that Annabelle has brought a paper and pen.
No spoilers.
Maybe some artwork to come this episode. Stay tuned to find out. And we're also going to talk some of our favorite just trending storylines from the past week. We also have Jess DiGirolamo, who is a defenseman for the Boston Fleet. I know Annabelle talked to her last week and got to hear about how that season's going for the Boston Fleet. So tons of great stuff to get into. But first, we have to talk about this volleyball. And I think we have to talk about the fact that our picks, you know what, there was heartbreak. Let's just say there was heartbreak in the regional round. Stanford out in the final 8. Texas, who was your pick, out in the round of 16. And you know what? Just frustrating. But I think something to note when we go into these Final Fours, it's all of the 1 seeds that have made it into the Final Four in Pitt, Louisville, Penn State, and Nebraska. So the good news, even though they're not the teams that we picked, they are the best teams that were coming into this tournament, are the teams that ended up in the Final Four. And that's what you want to see.
Yeah, and that was the first time since 2008, I think, that has happened.
Really?
So we weren't far off. Clearly, like, this is abnormal in the last couple of years for that to happen. But you're right. Like, I picked Texas, and they had sailed through the first 2 rounds and really thought that they were going to make it back to that national championship game and potentially three-peat. But here we are.
Yeah, after the first 2 rounds, Stanford still hadn't lost a set. I was like, oh, yes, like I'm on to something. I'm doing great. But no, it was interesting because I was kind of watching the tournament as it progressed, and it was just funny. Like, there were really no huge upsets. There were like a couple here and there, but for the most part, it was like the top teams won, and they're the ones that made it to the end. So I think this is what you want, right? You want the best teams at the end of the day, and it is fun to get a Cinderella story or a team that, you know, makes it all the way to the end. It's fun to root for them, but just in terms of the product, you want to have the best volleyball on the court, and that's definitely what we're going to get. Like I said, the semifinals are happening the day that this episode comes out, so we have each kind of dove into one of the semifinals to do a little preview for you guys so you can, you know, really get invested in these semifinals, because if you're not doing anything tonight, definitely watch. There is nothing more.
Make better educated picks.
Yeah, make better educated picks. If you're betting on this, make better educated picks than what we gave you. But no, there is like truly, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, there's like no more entertaining sport to watch, in my opinion, than volleyball.
It's so awesome. And like, they always have fun. Like,
yes.
I have never watched a volleyball game in my life where it doesn't look like the girls in those teams are having fun. They might be like super intense, super locked in. They might be like, you know, screaming at each other, but they have a smile on their face while they do it. They got their earrings on. I actually saw a funny post from one of my friends, Sydney Parrish, last night, I believe, on Instagram, and she was just saying, oh, or maybe it was on TikTok. She was saying, oh, hey, can we petition to have women's college basketball get to wear the fun earring hoops like they do in women's volleyball, because she plays for Indiana women's basketball, and she's, you know, that team is amazing, and she's one of their top players, and so she's always that blinged out girl, and she was saying, hey, we want to look as good as the volleyball players. So I just thought that was funny.
They do look great. They've got the nails, they've got the hair, they've got the ribbons. They look great. Okay, so the one that I we previewed is Pitt-Louisville. That's the side of the bracket that I picked. And Pitt, they went into this tournament as the number 1 overall seed. Louisville went in as the number 4 overall seed. And something that I didn't know about Pitt-Louisville is that this is a big rivalry game. And I kind of like did a double take. I was like, Pitt-Louisville, I'm not familiar with this rivalry. So I did some research on it. It's a volleyball-specific rivalry. This is a rivalry that's really sport-specific. And it's because I was doing some reading about it that these two teams always seem to match up in like the biggest moments is what they said. It's like they're always, battling for home court advantage in the tournament, or they're, battling for an ACC championship. And they've been two of the best teams in the country now for the past, 5 or so years, and they've just gone head to head so many times that they've really developed this great rivalry. And I think that's awesome. They said there's really no bad blood. It's just great competition. And personally, I feel like those are the best types of rivalries.
Yeah, the ACC rivalries are no joke. And you could even feel that a little bit in Louisville's press conference after their last win. They were saying, it's really hard to beat a team 3 times, so we'll see Pitt. And, they were laughing with it. Like you said, there is no bad blood, but that is definitely a game that they need to win.
Yeah, so Pitt, they dominated Kentucky in the quarterfinals. They took them down in straight sets. But Kentucky, they actually jumped out to a lead in that second set. So there was a little bit of pushback there, but no, they were able to just cruise through it. But they've really been on fire since Oregon took them to 5 sets earlier in this tournament. And Olivia Babcock, she leads this Pitt team. She was ACC Player of the Year. She's a sophomore opposite hitter. She posted a career high 31 kills against Oregon.
That's crazy. For people who don't know volleyball, that is a lot of kills.
Yeah, 31 kills in 12 digs. I know it went to 5 sets, but still. That caught my eye, and Pitt has been on fire ever since then. This is also their 4th consecutive Final Four appearance, so they've been here before. And then who they're going up against, Louisville, like I said, number 4 overall seed. They're led by senior outside hitter Anna DeBeer. They also went to 5 sets earlier in the tournament against Northern Illinois. And I read this story about DeBeer, how she was just saying, she thought to herself in the moment, she was like, I don't want to go out like this. I don't want this to be my last moment playing college volleyball. Wow. She said she got emotional, and instead she got that last kill to keep Louisville alive in the tournament. But there's a lot of pressure on this team because Louisville has been the home team basically throughout this entire thing. Louisville, this is where the tournament is taking place, is the semifinals and finals are happening in Louisville. So they've got a home court advantage on their side. But you know what? I think that can provide a little bit of additional pressure too. You want to win
for sure.
In front of your home fans, obviously, but just in speaking about the vibes and how important having fun and good feelings are when it comes to volleyball, I do think that home court advantage is going to be huge for them.
It's going to be huge, but John Cook, Nebraska's head coach, actually mentioned that in his press conference. He was like, there is a lot of pressure on Louisville right now to perform well in front of their home crowd, and like you said, that can definitely help you and aid you, but that's also a lot of pressure that comes with it.
Yeah, definitely. And in just kind of trying to think about who do I think has the edge in this semifinal round and deciding it's should I pick Pitt? I do think that Pitt is probably the better team. Just also in thinking about how well they've been playing since that Oregon match. But I don't know. I really think that in volleyball, having a home court advantage is huge. It does provide a lot of pressure, but they haven't crumbled yet. And there was that really big moment against Northern Iowa, and they were able to overcome that. So I think this will help them at the end of the day.
Yeah, and like you said, that game really lit a fire under them, and it kind of shows you when you have those early tournament, almost threats in a sense, where Anna did, she felt the season almost, slip between her fingertips. That can kind of ignite something within a team for the rest of the tournament.
Yeah. All right. Teach me about Nebraska Penn State.
I got you. Nebraska Penn State. Well, Nebraska Penn State, this is a huge rivalry also. Another Big Ten matchup. And Penn State won the last meetup. So this is something that Nebraska is really knocking on the door about. And both of these coaches are really talented. John Cook, he's had 4 national championships with this team. He's been there for 25 years. Yeah. But then Katie Shoemaker-Cawley at Penn State, this is only her 3rd season as head coach at Penn State. But she does have that experience. She won a national title with the Nittany Lions back in 1999. So she does have that confidence. She does have that experience. But that is 2 very different head coaching roles. And the cool thing about this Penn State team with Katie Shoemaker-Cawley is that they're being motivated in another sense. Katie came out in October 17th, and she announced that she had been diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer. And so I had noticed this while the girls were playing. They all have been wearing these pink bows, which is so cool to just show the support that her team has given. But not only just her team, when they went to go play Purdue earlier in the season, Purdue, each player went up to Katie and gave her a pink rose. And it was just such like a cool little nod to her and like, hey, we might be competing right now, but we have your back. And so something that Katie did say, she said, I feel normal here at Rec Hall, which is where Penn State plays. And I think that is a really cool part of their story. And she's probably not making it all about her, but you can just tell that this Penn State team has a fire lit underneath them for a much bigger reason.
Yeah, no, I do always think that makes a difference too, like having something bigger kind of than yourself that you're really playing for. So that is a really important story. I'm glad you shared that. And kind of on that note, with Katie Shoemaker-Cawley, in addition to Louisville head coach Danny Busboom-Kelly, there's never been a female head coach to win the NCAA volleyball tournament before, which is crazy. So if one of those two can do it, they would be the first.
It's a huge deal.
It's a huge deal. They would be the first. And I think, that's just another reason. If you're looking to root for a team, that's a reason to do it for sure if you want to get behind one of these teams. But who do you think is going to win the whole thing?
Well, I think, obviously, like we said, in your case with Louisville, like home court advantage is huge. But Nebraska's also played in Yum Center 3 times. This will be their 3rd time playing in that arena. And just from my own personal lacrosse experience, I know that when you get to go play somewhere in the regular season and then your playoffs are there as well, it just gives you this sense of familiarization. You can visualize better when you're thinking about the game ahead. I would even have, times when we go to the field at 8 p.m. We weren't even going there to practice. We were just going there to check out what the field looked like. And so I can guess that Nebraska is going to have a new sense of just peace and calm, knowing that they've already seen the arena. They've already played there before. It just kind of gives you a different edge that you might not always think about.
So you're picking Nebraska?
So I think I'm going to pick Penn State because I love this storyline. But I think Nebraska has the edge in that sense. But there's just something special about this Penn State team that it's unique in every other season.
No, I agree. I think that's a great story. I'm actually picking Nebraska kind of for the reasons that you reiterated when you were explaining kind of their season to this point. Obviously, John Cook having had 4 NCAA titles already under his belt as a head coach. But this team has been runner-ups now twice in the past 4 years, in 2021 and 2023. They've come so close twice. And Lexi Rodriguez, their libero, she had a crazy semifinal game against, who did they play? Was it Creighton? In the quarterfinals, I believe it was. But no, like absolutely just insane digs, like crazy defense. So I'm picking Nebraska. I think that they're just playing some of their best volleyball right now. Oh, it was against Wisconsin, not Creighton. It's Penn State that beat Creighton.
Wisconsin, another team who everyone thought was going to be in this game.
Yeah. So, I mean, Lexi Rodriguez has been playing so great for them. Nebraska's only lost 1 set the entire tournament. So that's who I'm picking to win it, but we'll see. We'll find out. Our picks haven't been great in the past for volleyball.
I'm excited. It's regardless of whether or not you have a bracket, it is so fun to watch. Yeah. These women are so unbelievably athletic and talented, and like I said earlier, they look really pretty and sparkly, but like their game face is no joke.
Would you rather be like a libero or an outside hitter? Or
I feel like an outside hitter would be kind of sick because he just power moves. So I think that'd be really fun. But like I don't know. I think outside hitter.
As I was watching some of the highlights from the past couple of weeks, I think I would pick libero. I think it's so fun watching them just dive around the court trying to like make these incredible saves. I think I would pick libero. I'm obviously libero would probably be the only position in volleyball that I'd have a chance at playing anyways.
Yeah, you get to wear the special shirt.
Yeah, exactly. But that aside, I just think the position looks really fun. All right. Well, one thing that we have had a little bit more success at picking this season are women's basketball teams. Annabelle, our picks from the beginning of the year have actually done very well.
Very well.
Very well. So UCLA, number 1 in the AP poll. I picked UConn, which like ho-hum, obviously, like we all know they were going to do well. But like our kind of sleeper picks were Iowa and Michigan. They're both in the top 25 in the AP poll, which we didn't know how Iowa was going to do. We didn't know how Michigan was going to do. We just used our knowledge.
Yeah.
And we gave you an educated pick, and they've been performing.
Yeah,
so.
and thank you, Allie Van Timmerman on Michigan women's basketball. She's my good friend from Boston College. So, Allie, thank you for helping me out there with my pick.
Yes.
Keep it up.
Anyways, we're going to try to do it again. And we're going to test our luck now. We're going to give you 2 other teams that we really think that you guys should be looking out for going into this new year, going into the holiday break that we haven't talked about already on the show. And you know what? They're not really sleeper picks. They're teams that have been doing really well and teams that you definitely should be on the lookout for. I'm going to go first here. My pick is Notre Dame. They just beat UConn. So now they have 3 wins against a top 5 opponent in Texas, USC, and UConn, which is really impressive. But they do have 2 losses so far this season. They both came at the Cayman Islands Classic around Thanksgiving.
Just stop there. The Cayman Islands class, like that's a very cool thing to be able to go play in a tournament there.
Yeah, well, you know what? Some people were saying they lost both games because of the travel.
Hey, fair. Distractions. Are
Yeah,
you kidding me? If I was in the Cayman Islands, like I'd have a very hard time
focusing on basketball. Yeah, well, they did because they did not play well in that tournament. Actually, they played really poorly, and people have kind of been pointing to that as like, Notre Dame, they're not the real deal. Look how they lost these 2 games around Thanksgiving. But really, it seems like kind of a blip in the radar. Like, you know, maybe there were some distractions. Maybe they had food poisoning on Thanksgiving. Like, who knows? But they have been playing really well leading up to that. And after that, they've really been dominating the opponents they should be dominating. And then against top 5 teams, they've been handling them the right way. And they're led by Hannah Hidalgo, who has vaulted herself into being a player of the year front runner. The 2 names that we were really talking about coming into this season are obviously Paige Beckers and Juju Watkins. And Hannah Hidalgo, when she played UConn last week, like Paige played well. She put up 25 points. It was a good game for Paige, but Hannah was the best player on the court. Mm-hmm. And afterwards, reporters actually asked Paige about Hannah, and she said, she does a lot of great things offensively and defensively. She's a pest, but the best thing that she does is her energy and her attitude. She leads her team with that and her fire. And I think fire is the perfect word really to describe Hannah Hidalgo. That's like exactly kind of what she has. But
and pest.
Yes,
that's
and a pest.
Boom.
Yes, a pest. She's great defense. So this team is one that you definitely need to watch out for, led by Hannah Hidalgo. And no, they're going to be probably one of the teams to beat this season.
And that Notre Dame game, those Notre Dame fans came out. They were like decked out in all green, chirping Paige the whole game, and she still had a great game. So yeah, just to be a part of that environment is really cool.
No, it was really cool. And I just think with this team too, like, they didn't come in with the same hype around them like the other teams that we were talking about, UConn, USC, the other really big names, but they clearly have the opportunity or the ability to compete against some of these top teams and win. So no, I think that this is going to be a great season for them.
Yeah, that's good. Well, a team that I'm excited to watch is the Texas Longhorns. They're number 6 in the AP.
Can I just say, I knew you were going to pick them.
Why? Wait, why? Because I picked them in volleyball?
Yeah, I don't know. I have a feeling Annabelle is going to pick Texas. And then
I don't know. Maybe I got like my Southern headband on during the college football playoffs.
Like, Annabelle loves the Longhorns, and there you go.
You know what? I actually, for my job with Sports Spectrum, I actually just highlighted the Texas Longhorns Athletes in Action group. So Texas is at the forefront of my mind right now. But I like them for other reasons as well. They're coming off, not only have had a great start their season, they've only lost 1 game, and that was to Notre Dame in overtime. So hanging with that really good team. So me and Laura are going to go head to head on this Texas Notre Dame battle now. But they're actually still coming off of their best season in a long time. They won the Big 12 championship last season, and they actually got like their ring ceremony at their game earlier this week. And so they were, going through the Jumbotron and showing all their rings. You would have thought those are like national championship rings, the like diamonds on those things. It was pretty insane. So everyone needs to go check out the Texas Longhorns women's basketball championship rings. They are pretty wild. But not only that, this year they're being led by sophomore Madison Brooker. She was a huge part of their success last year. She was, a UT freshman. She got the UT freshman assist record last year with like 185 assists, which is, I think, a really cool stat for a freshman, because you're not only, you know, helping the team score points, but you're the one setting up those other buckets.
That takes time. Like, I think assists really take time, and just like getting familiarity with your teammates, and to be able to do that in your freshman season, like you said, is really impressive.
Yeah, it also helps that this season she's shooting over 54% from the 3-point line, so she is knocking it down for the Longhorns. But also on the older veteran side, Rory Hammond, she is a senior this year. She hurt her knee last year and was out that whole season. So she's coming back. So a lot of exciting things for the Longhorns. They have a crazy January schedule. They have a ton of top 25 teams. Oklahoma, which they lost by 1 last year, so they're going to want that one back. Number 2, South Carolina, January 12th, and then number 8, Maryland. So a huge 2025 kickoff for the Texas Longhorns.
Well, no, definitely keep your eye out for them. And I love what you said about their ring ceremony too, because sometimes, like, if you have a ring ceremony, that doesn't necessarily lead into having a great game. But like you said, they've only lost 1 game against Notre Dame, so clearly,
catch them.
Yeah. Catch him, hook him.
Catch him, hook him. I actually didn't mean to make that silly, but like, I meant
you catch him or hook him?
Yeah, catch. No, I actually meant like just like catch them,
catch
like, watch them, but like I should have said hook them.
Well, I guess I like what you're saying. Catch him, and hook him. Go Longhorns.
Is this what it is?
Go Longhorns.
Is this what their symbol is?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Longhorns.
Yeah.
We're from Boston, clearly.
Go Texas, go Notre Dame. But also there is one more really good women's basketball game before the holiday break that you're not going to want to miss. It's number 7 USC at number 4 UConn in a rematch of last year's Elite 8. So that's Paige Beckers versus Juju Watkins. That's going to be a really good game. So definitely don't miss that. It's coming up on Saturday. And if you're enjoying this game, this podcast, excuse me.
It's a game between us.
It's a game between the two of us. Every Thursday, you can listen on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. All right, well, there was some other really big women's basketball news coming out this week, and that's A'ja Wilson. She signed reportedly a 6-year contract extension with Nike, which kind of follows off of the news from back in May that she had a signature shoe that was coming out along with like a signature apparel line for A'ja Wilson. But this makes her contract is reportedly amongst the top contracts for a women's basketball player in history. And like all I can say really is this is so well deserved, clearly.
So well deserved, yeah. And like now it's finally here, right? Like she was announcing this earlier in the summer, and so I'm super excited to finally see what's next for it.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, there really been no actual numbers reported with this, but I think kind of something you can use for a benchmark if you're trying to figure out, like, okay, how much is this deal actually worth? Caitlin Clark, reportedly, according to the Wall Street Journal and Athletic, her contract deal with Nike is 8 years, $20 million. So this is a big deal. And these contracts, they're really important for women's basketball players because their salaries are not NBA salaries. And getting these contract deals, they're really important to really like kind of make up for some of the lost ground you get as playing a women's sport.
Yeah, I'm excited for A'ja Wilson. I'm excited for how this is going to impact the WNBA. But it's also going to be really cool to see how this impacts South Carolina recruits, right? When you see someone who is now pro, went to your school, and now she has a shoe deal, like that just adds another element to the hype around your university, around your program. So I'm excited to see how this not only impacts A'ja Wilson, the WNBA as a whole, but also like college and younger.
Yeah, definitely. But I just have to go back and saying like this is so well deserved, and it feels like A'ja Wilson has been overlooked kind of in the past,
which makes no sense.
Which makes no sense because she is the best player in the WNBA right now. She's a 3-time MVP, 2-time Olympic gold medalist, like obviously the best player.
And MVP for the Olympics.
Yes, MVP for the Olympics too. First player to record over 1,000 points in a season, like so deserving, and I'm so glad that she's getting this contract extension. Annabelle, I've got to ask you now though, like what do you think that the signature shoe is going to look like?
So I don't know what it's going to look like, but I did hear that the logo is going to be an A, kind of like she's been doing, and her team has been doing with the apostrophe. So kind of using a play off of her name, A'ja. And so I was thinking, okay,
it's A1.
A1. So yes, it's going to be A apostrophe 1. So I'm thinking like, okay, what if they did the Nike symbol as the apostrophe and kind of made the swoosh a little bit there.
Whoa.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
I
make
like
the Nike
that.
swoosh. Okay, that wasn't a great example, but I'm just thinking,
Wait,
like,
no, hold it up
how
longer.
could you
Really
how
hold it.
could you use the Nike symbol and the Asia with the apostrophe? How could you basically use the apostrophe as the Nike symbol?
Or how
That's
could
kinda
you
what I'm
use?
thinking.
How I'm seeing that. How could you use the A as the Nike, like the cross for the A?
Oh,
if you made that the swoosh,
like this, you're saying?
yeah.
Okay, Laura and I are on the creative team for Nike apparently now. So it's going to be like that is what you're saying.
I mean, that would be cool.
What do we think? Answers 1 or 2. First option or second option?
I mean, I think that would be pretty cool.
We'll see. We'll see how close we get. But I don't know. I was just thinking, I saw the A1, and then I'm thinking, okay, how can we incorporate the Nike logo? So maybe you won't see us here in 2025. Maybe you'll see us in the Nike Creative Studios.
Yeah, no, I love that. That's actually really creative, Annabelle. I'm very impressed. Speaking of really cool gear, the Boston Fleet. Their gear looks spectacular. I mean, I've been watching some of the highlights from the past games, and those jerseys look so good on the ice, as well as all of the gear they're wearing. It's just, another part of what's been a spectacular start to the second season for the PWHL. And Annabelle, you got to talk to Jess DiGirolamo of the Boston Fleet, defenseman for the Boston Fleet. I know they lost their first 2 games of the season. That's when you spoke to them, was when they were 0-2, but they've won 2 since then. So what were the vibes like speaking to Jess going into that?
The vibes are great. It was so nice to meet Jess. She is awesome, and she seems like really an energizer of this team. She told me just about things that they're doing off the ice as well. She had to pick a restaurant that they were all going to go to, and so just excited to learn more about her, learn more about her impact on the Fleet. But really cool just to have the opportunity to play professional women's hockey here in Boston, in a city of champions, and they are not stopping until they win that cup.
All right. Well, here is Annabelle's conversation with Jess.
I am so excited to welcome on Boston Fleet defender, Syracuse alum, and one of Canada's finest, Jessica DiGirolamo. Jessica, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I know you're probably coming right off practice, right off the ice, and probably headed to more meetings today. So really appreciate you taking the time. What have you done all today so far?
Already today, this morning we had a workout, and then after the workout, I had a little bit of a video session. We had practice. I had one meeting, and this is actually the most exciting part of my day because, everything was exciting, but to talk to you guys is going to be amazing, and then I have a few meetings after.
Good. Well, hey, I'm so happy that this can be one of the best parts of your day. So we'll kick it off. You and the Fleet are coming off a big win against New York. How did it feel to get that first win of the season under your belt?
It felt great. I brought a lot of momentum back to practice this week, especially with the international break. But we're just, we're clicking as a team, and we're excited for, future games. But getting that first win was obviously very important for the team, and we're looking forward to more.
Definitely. And the Minnesota Frost is in first place in the league right now. So what is it going to take for you guys to knock off the defending champs this year?
I think we just need to play as a team. We're understanding, what's going to take, what's it going to take in order to have success. So I think if we just stick together and obviously do the things that we do well, and, focus on things that we can also work on in order to bring our best against, every team, but especially Minnesota, especially after last year's, the way last year wrapped up.
Jessica, I've never been a part of an inaugural season. So is there anything that was really cool or lessons that you learned through last year?
It was a great year. I have nothing but positive things to say about it. I think the one thing that I will never forget was obviously stepping on the ice for the first time in Boston at our home opener. It was such a surreal feeling, and I honestly can't put words to it, but I appreciate the support, whether that's friends, family, fans, other teammates. It was definitely a year that I will never forget.
When you stepped onto that ice, was that a moment that you had dreamed of as a young girl? Did you always think that you'd play pro hockey one day, or was this something that you just kind of came to?
That was always a goal of mine. I've set a few goals for myself. That was definitely one of the goals that I was able to achieve, but obviously still not happy or going to be complacent. Obviously want to continue to, to do better, and to help the team win and hopefully bring a Walter Cup home to Boston.
That's the goal. I'm excited to cheer you
That's the
guys on
goal.
in that. Let's go. Well, you're on the East Coast now. So how was your transition to Boston, Massachusetts?
It's actually funny you asked that. Last year I learned a few lessons about Boston. One, there's great food here, and number two, I think driving. I thought driving in Toronto was pretty bad, but driving here is a whole different ball game. I feel like honking at this point is like a compliment, but that's something that I've had to. That I'm getting used to now. I haven't got honked at this year yet, so I haven't got my warm welcome, but I did last year because the roads are quite crazy.
You are absolutely spot on with the driving. I grew up all over the
Yeah.
US, spent some time in Indianapolis, Indiana, and I'll tell you, driving in Indiana is very different than driving in Boston. So, have you
Yeah.
honked at anyone? I know you said you've been honked at, but I feel like you could get on the aggressive side.
Honestly, I try to not honk. Like, I feel like I've gotten to the point sometimes where like somebody in front of me, the light goes green, and I'm like, don't make me honk. Like, don't make me honk. And then the person behind me will honk, like it's me, and I'm like, okay, like I'm like, let's be a little nice today. But I actually have not honked yet. So, I mean, it might happen today. Who knows?
Well, it seems like you are getting into more of that Boston culture, and maybe we'll even hear you throw out a wicked awesome at some point here, maybe later in the season. But you did mention being in Boston and enjoying the
Yeah.
food. Do you have a favorite spot in Boston that's your go to?
Um, some of my teammates and I were doing this thing where every few weeks that someone's gonna pick a restaurant and we're gonna go enjoy just because I feel like there's so many great restaurants out there. One restaurant that has had my heart since last year is called Bodega Canal. I love Mexican food, so it was amazing. Paired with maybe one margarita, but that depends if it's a weekend treat.
That's very fun. And what teammate picked that restaurant out?
Aaron Frankel, yeah.
That's good. Have you picked yours out? Have you gone? Has it been your turn?
It's actually my turn next. So if anybody has any recommendations, just please let me know.
Drop it in the link below. Let's get the
Please
good
drop it.
rec.
I need help. I need help.
We're looking for the baller place to take the Boston Fleet. That's good. Well, hey, maybe this is an
Yes.
invitation for some restaurants out in Boston to host you and the girls. I love that.
Yes.
Well, Jess, I
I would
want to
love that.
ask
I need recommendations.
yes, we will get the recommendations for you. Well, I do want to ask you about something else with your teammates. I saw some of your
Yep.
teammates ask you earlier last season or later last season. We want more log rolls. We want more log rolls. What's up with the log rolls? Can you explain this?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, they want more log rolls. They've still asked me for log rolls this year. It was during playoffs last year. It was against Minnesota. I won't say any names, but there's a picture, there's a video. Pretty much what happened was it was another girl on the other team and myself. We were battling in front of the net. And we ended up getting, I don't even know how it happened. We got into the corner and we were just pretty much like battling with each other, but like it looked like log rolls because like I was on the top and then like she was like rolling me over and then she was on the top. And then it was like we were just like honestly wrestling on the ice. And my teammates, when we looked back and like clipped the video, we all thought it was hilarious. And now we're still laughing about it to this day. So they want more log rolls, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to give it to them, but we'll see.
We'll see. Well, you might be a nice driver on the road, but it doesn't seem like you're super sweet and nice on the ice, which is a good thing. You want to be aggressive if you're back there protecting the net on defense. But another defender that you get to play alongside is five-time world champ Megan Keller. What has that been like to play with her?
Yeah. It's been amazing. I mean, being able to learn from her, obviously, she's a well-known D. She's a great defense, both offensively and defensively. So it's amazing to practice with her every day and play with her in games. And it's been amazing to have her as like a role model and a support system for me if I ever need any questions or for any advice and stuff like that. She's amazing.
Well, Jess, I know there are a lot of women on that team and probably probably in the PWHL as a league that you look up to, but there are definitely young girls who look up to you as an ice hockey player. I saw a sign last year that said "Get Digi with it," playing off the song with a little girl holding it up by the glass. So how would you describe the Boston Fleet fan base?
The Boston Fleet fan base is honestly one of a kind. Looking at the different signs, and obviously they're full of energy. They're energetic game in and game out, and they're very supportive. I mean, I got a penalty, and I remember I was like, I can't believe I got this penalty. And they ended up like booing, and it honestly made me feel better, which was great. I was like, see, it's not just me who thinks that. But no, all seriousness, we love the signs, we love the support. They're always energetic, like I said. And we want to bring the Walter Cup home to them because I think we deserve it.
I bet too, when those fans were kind of yelling at the refs, you felt a little more adrenaline rush for you when you got out of the box. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, it was great, especially when they were booing, and then obviously they're cheering when maybe they, reverse a call that, probably shouldn't have been made. But yeah, they're very supportive.
Jess, I know we talked a little bit about it before we got on camera about how we were both ACC rivals, me at Boston College and you at Syracuse. Do you have a favorite memory from your time at Syracuse?
I do. I would say my favorite memory in Syracuse was definitely the year I graduated in 2022. We had won the CHAs, and it was a crazy overtime win. And just like being able to, experience that and celebrate the CHA victory, obviously, for my last year was definitely like a cherry on top for my career at Syracuse. And I enjoyed my year for sure.
You bookended it perfectly. That's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it was a perfect ending, so I'm happy with it.
That's pretty great. That's pretty great. Well, I know that you have had an amazing college career and are still having an amazing, just really kicking it off with the PWHL pro career. But I do want to ask you about the JD Elite Hockey Camp. What goes on at the JD Elite Hockey Camp?
So I'll give you a little bit of a background story. So over COVID, I always wanted to have my own logo, and I always knew I wanted to run my own hockey camp. And somebody that I played with lacrosse back years ago, probably over a decade. He ended up making the logo for me over COVID, and it was just amazing. And I was like, okay, this is the time for me to start figuring out a hockey camp. So I had my first ever JD Elite Hockey Camp last year, and it was a huge success. And I'm actually crazy you asked that. I'm starting to plan my next one. I think I'm going to be doing 2 weeks instead of 1 week. And I just obviously enjoy being able to, run my own hockey camp, have girls come out and just enjoy and have fun and play the game that we all love.
That's an incredible opportunity for so many young girls to learn from you. And what's cool too is that you're a current player, right? You're still playing. And I think that just adds a whole nother perspective for these young girls to also just be able to see you and one day think, oh, maybe that could be me someday. So if any parents are watching this or young women's ice hockey players, where can they go to sign up for the JD Elite Hockey Camp?
My website will be live shortly. Working on a few little tweaks here and there, but you might get a kick out of this one. I found that because I'm from Toronto and I go back, we have a lot of Scepters fans. But slowly but surely, as more people come to the JD Elite Hockey Camp, they are going to be Boston Fleet fans. So that's great.
They will. And they got some good colors to rep as well. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
Well, Jess, thank you so much for taking the time today to talk. We are cheering on the Boston Fleet and you specifically. So really excited and hope to keep in touch.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
If you're enjoying this show, new episodes come out every Thursday. You can listen on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. All right, well, this was a story that came out. I saw this on Instagram. I saw the first graphic. Vermont men's soccer wins a national championship. Annabelle, I literally stopped and I had to Google what division is Vermont soccer in because I could not believe what I was seeing.
It's pretty awesome.
They're in Division 1, by the way. They won the whole freaking thing. So good for UVM men's soccer. I mean, that is awesome. It's the school's first national championship in a sport other than skiing. I was stunned.
It's pretty wild. They knocked off a bunch of top 5 teams. I got a text during that game, I wasn't watching the game, from a friend of mine, Matt Malley, and he said, this is one of the most unlikely championships in the history of sports. And Matt is a sports guy. He's like an encyclopedia for sports. And for him to say that, I was like, oh, shoot. So what did I do? I immediately Googled it and turned it on and watched the celebration and everything. But how fun for Vermont, and how fun for the state as well. I was watching some local news clips, and just everyone there is like, this is so huge for us. This means so much. So props to them. Is so awesome.
No, it was great. And it was a comeback win, too. They fell behind 1-0, and then they won it in overtime. Like, it was the perfect story for them. And I thought, like, the play-by-play call in the game, too, which was just, like, chef's kiss. It was perfect. He said, don't call them Cinderella. You can call them national champs.
It's
like,
so good. It's so good. And one of the local writers, I think, called them the cardiac cats. Like, how many lives do they have? Because they did keep coming back in these, like, last-second wins. But I just love that, cardiac cats.
Yeah, and in the locker room, too, afterwards, their head coach said, there's no more games, but for the rest of your lives, you are national champions, which I just thought was really special. And it actually made me think of a question for you, because I know we were both on national champion winning teams, and like, at least from me as a Stanford lightweight rower, like, we were expected to win the national championship each year. Like, that's what was expected of us. Obviously, BC women's lacrosse is also, I'm sure, has that expectation going into each season, just knowing what, good team that you were. But I was just so curious. I'm like, what's it like to win a national championship, to really get to be a team
Laura, girl.
No, but to be a team that nobody expected you to be able to do it.
Yeah, well, I would say this, like, our team was in the national championship for many years consecutively in a row, but we'd had 3 losses coming into my freshman year, and I think you carry the weight of that. But I think it's also like the underdog mentality you can kind of really run with.
Yeah.
And I think that was the challenge when we did win, was, oh shoot, now we're on top. Now we're going to get everyone's best game. We're going to get everyone's best scouting report. So I think it goes both ways, but I think to be able to have that, everybody counted us out. The year that we did win, my first freshman year when we did win, I think we were ranked like number 17th in the country. And like, we weren't worried about rankings. We weren't concerned about it, but like, we definitely like took that to heart a little bit. So I think it makes it a little more sweeter than, rolling in at number 1 for sure.
I mean, it's gotta be way sweeter. I mean, this is more than just being like ranked 17 or 18 or 19. I didn't even know they were a D1 program.
No.
It is crazy. So like, honestly, so much props just to UVM men's soccer for pulling this off. That is awesome. They all get, their NCAA trophies, which is really awesome.
It's pretty great. And the guy who scored the winning goal, Maximilian Kissel, I'm sure they call him Max, but I was thinking to myself, if your name is Maximilian, you are destined to score the game-winning goal in a national championship game for Vermont men's soccer. Like, that is pretty awesome.
That is a really good name, Maximilian. Like,
shout out to his parents.
Yeah, I hope he continues in his soccer career, because that should be a professional soccer name somewhere. Maximilian. I love it. Okay, well, there's going to be another trophy given out here over the next couple of weeks, and that's the Pop-Tarts Bowl trophy, which has a new look to it this year. It has a built-in toaster which can fit real Pop-Tarts. Which is incredible. I mean, this is like an
interactive.
It's interactive. It's a piece of like engineering genius, honestly. Like,
great marketing.
It looks really incredible, but I think this is amazing because all of these bowl games, they get so much like kind of grief for being so, like the names are so weird.
Yeah.
They're so random. Like, what even is like the Foster Farms Bowl? And they sell like Thanksgiving turkeys, like whatever, But I love the fact that Pop-Tarts is really leaning into this. They're making themselves one of truly like the marquee bowl games just because of their branding. It's really incredible.
It's a great idea. And I actually haven't had a Pop-Tart in like probably like 8 or 9 years, because when I was in 5th grade, I was at a new school in Nashville, Tennessee, and they were so nice. They gave us snacks. Like, they just gave us free snacks, after every recess break. And I had a Pop-Tart every day for a year. So I love Pop-Tarts, but I haven't had them in like 8 years.
I actually have to admit, I've never had a Pop-Tart
You've
before.
never had a Pop-Tart?
I've literally never had a Pop-Tart. And I don't want a Pop-Tart unless it comes out of that trophy.
Okay, well, hey, there we go. Let's get Laura that trophy.
What's funny, though, is they have like at least last season, they had like what looked like a Pop-Tart sacrifice at the end of the game. Did you see that?
No.
Like a Pop-Tart, like they had a massive toaster oven and the Pop-Tart mascot like toasted itself.
Oh my goodness.
It was like kind of freaked me out a little bit.
Well, you remembered it, and that's what their goal was. They want you to keep saying Pop-Tart.
Yeah, it was a sacrificial Pop-Tart. Another story that really made us laugh this week was the Senators' e-bug, Zach Dietz. So he was caught on camera literally sprinting to the game
with heavy weight,
with all of his goalie gear. And now, if you don't know the rule of the e-bug in hockey's a very interesting sport, and goalie in particular is a very specific position. You can't just be like, oh, we're down a goalie, you know what, Trent Frederick, jump in net, like we need somebody. That's not how it works in hockey or in goaltending. Like, it's a very specialized position, and you need somebody that's played it before. So what they do in the NHL is they have a designated e-bug, which is an emergency backup goaltender, who's usually somebody that has played goalie at a high level, maybe like in college in the past, where if a goalie gets injured, it'll have the e-bug come in. And this is something that I learned. They just like hang out in the locker room, actually. They don't actually get to like sit on the bench with the team, because I was reading this when I was reading Zach's story. But this was such a great story. So kind of the way that this all went down was that Anton Forsberg was injured in warm-up. So they called Zach. They're like, we need you to get to the rink. You're our emergency backup. He was driving with his girlfriend, and they were stuck in traffic. So he asked her, he's like, do you think I should just get out and run? And she actually plays hockey too for University of Ottawa. So she said, yeah, you should do it.
Yeah.
So he
Good job, girlfriend.
Yeah, good job, girlfriend. He jumped out of the car and he just started sprinting, and actually another car ended up driving him the rest of the way.
It's literally so hilarious just watching him run. Like, this is probably one of the funnier sports things that I've seen all year. And I think something he said, he came in running and like there were automatically cameras and lights already on him when he entered the rink. And then he said that he had to like sign a piece of paper to like sign off on something.
He had to sign a contract.
His hand was like shaking.
He had to sign a paid tryout so he could go in if he needed to.
It's pretty insane, but just to have that moment, you know, that's something he'll never forget. And now we know more about e-bugs.
Yes, definitely. His girlfriend was actually watching in the stands too, and she went down. She asked security. She's like, "Hey, like my boyfriend's the emergency goalie. Can I like go down and get some pictures?" And they're like, "Oh, we've heard about this. We've heard about him. Sure, come on down."
Yeah, you're viral by this point.
So they took him down took her down into the locker room so she could get some pictures with him, which was really sweet. But no, what like an incredible story.
Yeah, I loved it.
All right. Well, something that you sent me recently was the Seattle Seahawks drone show from this past week. It was their halftime show, and it was incredible. I'll let you, as the resident Seahawks expert, describe it.
Well, it was incredible. I actually thought it was fake when I was first seeing it, because I was clicking through people's Instagram stories that I knew were at the game, and I was like, oh, that's, you know, a cool little edit they did. But no, this was real. This was the first drone show in an NFL halftime show. They had Marshawn Lynch jumping into the end zone. They had a thank you 12s. They had like a seismic wave representing the Beastquake, which I thought was so awesome. Even the cheerleaders had their own like light up vests that they were dancing with.
That was the coolest part, actually, was the light up vest. I was so like, cool. Whoa, like it was really the whole stadium was lit up. It wasn't just the sky.
In Blitz, the mascot literally flew down from like a rope. I don't know where he came from, but like,
I missed that part.
Oh yeah, I almost did too, but I saw it, and you need no fear to do that from an NFL stadium. And Lumen Field is not a shy place. So such a cool performance by the Seattle Seahawks organization.
I hope he was like harnessed in.
Oh, that guy has no fear.
Really?
Sorry,
do you
that
know
bird.
Them?
I don't know if it's a guy or girl. I don't know.
Do you know?
That bird.
Have you had interactions with the mascot?
I have.
What are they like?
Well, I can't really give it away. I'll just say the personality is adventurous.
I'm saying, what's the personality of the bird? Of the mascot.
Of the mascot. The mascot's personality is one to jump off of the top of the building. Yeah. That would make sense.
Well, that is nuts. Wait, you knew the mascot at BC, right?
Oh, I did. One of my best friends and teammates.
What does it take to get that mascot job at BC?
I feel like I totally just exposed that. What does it take? It takes there are multiple tryouts, and there are multiple Eagles, obviously, because you know the BC Eagle can't be at every game at all times. But she said that there are multiple tryouts that you have to go through, and people dress up for it. Some person even came to tryouts one year wearing a full Eagle onesie. So like it's an intense and rigorous process.
So at Stanford, we have the tree.
Okay.
And there is one tree all year long. And we similarly have tree tryout weeks. But it's actually probably one of the craziest things that happens on a college campus. It's like called Tree Week. And they spend the whole week basically like putting on stunts. for the entire student body. And like some of them are extremely dangerous. Some of them are very funny. Some of them, like, I don't know how you didn't get suspended for doing that. There's a lot
I feel like that's all of college.
There's a lot of bribery that takes place. Like they bribe people on the panel. Like that's part of it. Like you're supposed to bribe the people. That's part of the audition process. But no, like people have like scaled buildings to get this tree thing.
So this is a big deal.
There's a lot of nudity.
I would not say that. Okay.
Like
wasn't ready for that one.
It is nuts. It is like the craziest mascot situation I think there is in the NCAA.
I don't think BC's situation is that intense, but it is fun.
No, it is really fun. All right. Should we get into some of our Would You Rathers?
Let's do it.
Okay. I can ask you the first one. Would you rather win the Pop-Tarts Bowl or lose in the first round of the CFP?
Oh. I think it was so fun talking about the Pop-Tart Bowl and discussing all of that. But I think to just be named in the college football playoff would be an honor.
Yes, that's exactly where I kind of stand on this too. I was like, you know what? I think it would be really cool. The photo opportunities after with the trophy would be awesome. I would love to toast the Pop-Tart. And you know what? I think it's like a great
and try it. You've never had one.
Yes, true. Try it for the first time. Maybe I would toast bread. I don't know. Pop-Tarts, I'm a little nervous to try it.
It's like straight sugar.
Maybe
it's like only sugar.
In 2025, our next episode, I'll test a Pop-Tart.
Great.
But no, I think it's a great consolation prize for if you don't get into the CFP. You can be in the Pop-Tarts Bowl and have the opportunity to compete for that trophy. But ultimately, I would want to be named in the CFP and have the opportunity to compete for a national championship.
Well, Laura, would you rather play in a Thanksgiving NFL game or a Christmas NFL game?
Okay, this is a tough one. I think that I would rather compete in a Christmas game because I think now I'm going back and forth. I just feel like there's the opportunity. I think competing in a snow game would be really fun. Like the pictures from that, just the general environment. Like I think there's nothing that compares to watching or I've never played in an NFL game, obviously, but I would imagine playing in the NFL, like in a snow game would be electric. And I feel like there's a better opportunity for that. Also, like I don't know, Christmas Day is just really special, and I think it would be fun. I would rather pick Christmas. What about you?
Okay, I think I would go the opposite because if I'm an NFL player on Christmas Day, I'm still going to work, I'm still going to practice. That doesn't escape the situation, but I think I'd rather spend the majority of that day at home with my family.
Yeah.
On Christmas would be my guess, and get to do more of Thanksgiving as like, I'm already going to be watching football for 12 hours a day.
That's
we
true.
might as well play in the game.
That's true. Well, so it's interesting that you mentioned that. You're like, oh, I want to spend Christmas with my family. I'm more of like a Thanksgiving person.
Okay.
Like Thanksgiving is if I were to be like, pick your favorite holiday, Thanksgiving or Christmas, I'd probably pick Thanksgiving.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I think it's just like a simpler holiday. It's more just about like what you're thankful for, spending time with family. And with Christmas, there's like a lot of stuff that comes with it.
Yes.
You know? And sometimes that can just stress me out. Like the entire month of December, it's a lot. So you know what? If I just could like fly out, be like, enjoy Christmas without me, you can catch me on the TV. I think that would be not a bad situation. All right. Okay. Would you rather have a shoe deal with Nike or Under Armour or maybe New Balance? Would you rather like pick a?
Well, first, I would be thankful for any of them. But I think going to Boston College, being a New Balance school, I love New Balance's stuff. They are right down the street here in Boston, and they got some swaggy things. I know like years ago it might have been like the dad shoe, but like New Balance is on trend. They have the best quality things. Like I run in New Balance shoes. That's where I'm doing my runs. Even after BC, I'm still buying New Balance stuff. So New Balance, love your things. Please
I'm glad I threw New Balance in just kind of as an afterthought.
No, I'm glad that's what I wanted.
I did. And I did it because I was like, I'm pretty sure that BC's a New Balance school. Throw it in. I would pick Nike because Stanford was a Nike school. So like I'm used to Nike stuff. It's actually really interesting. I read this article not too long ago about like how sponsoring schools is really important for brands because it creates like athletes for life within that brand.
New Balance, you got me. So there we go.
And Nike's got me. Well, thank you guys so much for watching Respect Her Game in 2024. We really appreciate it. We're going to have an episode for you next week still, so you're able to tune in. It just won't be live. It'll be our best ofs from some of the interviews. But thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next week. Or in 2025, I should say. See you in 2025.